Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. We're here today with special guests, Dave Barnett and Scarlett Howery, and they're here to share with us the silent standoff in America's workplaces. We're constantly hearing that AI is the future. Layoffs are at their highest level in years, and with an employment landscape adapting to AI-driven shifts, a new workplace study shows that there could be a silent standoff happening between employers and employees. The question is, do employees have the necessary skills to remain employable and be successful for the next 5 years? DeVry University's Chief Administrative Officer Dave Barnett and Scarlett Howery, DeVry's Vice President of Strategic Partnership, are joining us to shed some perspective from both sides of the office. So welcome to the show, Dave and Scarlett.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, what an honor it is to have the both of you here. But gosh, Scarlett, let's start with you. I think what this would be is kind of an obvious question for most people is, do employees have the skills to remain employable and be successful in the next 5 years?
Well, it depends on who you asked. We actually surveyed 1,500 workers and another 500 employers, and we wanted to understand the state of upskilling in an age of AI. And what we found is that there truly is this silent standoff. It really is the difference between what's happening now and what's coming next. In fact, right now, employers and employees believe they're doing enough with the skills that they have to be ready for AI jobs. However, both sides are concerned about what the future holds and what comes next for their skill levels. That's why it's so important that both sides are communicating effectively what skills they need, as well as how they gain access to those skills. Really, the time is now for employees and employers to really create that bridge between upskilling needs and the access that they have so they're ready for AI jobs of the future.
That seems to be a big question. And Dave, where do you feel this discrepancy between where employers feel and think versus employees?
Yeah, there's several points of divergent data, and that surfaced in our recent study. One of the things we found is 85% of workers feel well qualified to do their jobs. However, simultaneously, 69% of employers report that they worry that their employees have the proper skills to be successful in their jobs today and tomorrow. Simultaneous to that, we also heard contradicting data about upskilling responsibility. 75% of employers claim they're doing enough to upskill their workforce, but nearly 1/3 of workers say they're falling short all at the same time. This discrepancy creates a silent standoff that jeopardizes our potential to move the workforce forward and realize our full potential. As Scarlett mentioned, the time to address this is now. We need to communicate and find a shared pathway forward.
So, Dave, is there a big downside to these? We've got two very different perspectives.
Yeah. The downside is the risk of stagnation. And so as we think about the way we march forward, both from a workforce development perspective and even an economic perspective, as we move forward, we have to have a shared pathway. We have to be able to clearly articulate and align on where we're headed and how we get there. And until we can close that gap and workers and employers can have a shared path, we risk being stuck.
Well, I found that your study was such an important study. And Scarlett, what are some big takeaways from that?
I think the biggest takeaway is that upskilling is not just a nice to have or optional, it's essential. It truly is essential. Lifelong learning is really the future of anyone who is gaining a degree, doing some training, or even doing some upskilling and think that that's all they need to do for the rest of their career. They really need to rethink that. It's important for learners to really think about how they, again, continue to upgrade their skill as AI continuously changes their roles. In fact, in the study, we found that 44% of workers said that they would even use their personal time to upskill and reskill, which is really a good sign. It means that employers and employees are taking it seriously. Now they just need support. And that's where universities come in, like DeVry, to support with upskilling and reskilling initiatives, ensuring that they understand what those job needs are, translating that into pathways, and then providing access to individuals so that we meet them where they are. They may be working full time and have lives and families, and they need to find ways in which they can fit upskilling into their lives. And that's what we do so well at our university. So again, it's so important that we both gain the skills, but we also provide learners with access to those programs.
So, is this kind of divide that we're seeing, Scarlett, because maybe employees don't know that they can upskill or reskill their abilities?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think there is a desire from the employer to provide the training, and so it is there. However, not all employees understand how to access it, right? So as I shared before, it's really important that the employer is developing pathways that work for them. It might be short form. It might be a day of training or an hour of training. In fact, at DeVry, we offer DeVry Pro, which are short form training programs that are as short as 2 hours all the way up to a few days. So they can have access to that in a way that works for them. Or it could be all the way up to earning a degree and doing that over the course of several months or a year or so. So really being able to communicate effectively from the employer's point of view to the workers, how they gain access to those skills is really an important piece of this.
So, Dave, your report kind of mentions this. It cites how employers feel that lack of motivation as it's a top layoff reason. And it's interesting. I was just talking with a major employer yesterday, and they mentioned that exact same thing. So, how can organizations help employees reconnect with learning and growth?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to consider is that learning happens in multiple ways. And what we find as we work with partners is there's three things that are really important: relevance of learning, context of learning, and the ability for learning to be social. And so we have to find ways to link those things together. When we talk about the context, workers are more motivated to learn when they're learning toward a goal or learning toward a destination. And frankly, I think employers are struggling right now to talk about things like AI and how it will change the work. And so being able to name the changes in workflows, name the changes in how we work will add context to learning. Relevancy has to be about immediate applicability. How can we bring learning into the workplace now and address real day relevant problems? And finally, we like to learn socially. Virtual learning, online learning can be incredibly social. In-person learning can be incredibly social. But how do we help folks not only ingest content, but also then talk to those around them about how it's meaningful and how they can jointly apply that and think through new ways to work?
So, Scarlett, your report mentioned how durable skills like critical thinking and adaptability are ranking higher than some technical skills. Why are these so crucial, especially in an AI driven future?
Mm. Durable skills are human skills, right? That problem solving, critical thinking, empathy, those are important skills for learners to have as you work with AI tools. You need to make sure that you understand how what you get from AI can impact your workplace, can impact others. Is it accurate? So that's the critical thinking piece of it. How do you then use what you've gotten out of an AI tool to really impact your world? And should you actually use it, right? So that is a really critical piece of developing those skills within humans and within workers. And we do that in our courses by providing learners with access to experiential learning opportunities, working in groups, being able to critically think and problem solve and understand the needs of the workplace as well. So it is just as critical to have those technical skills in AI as it is to have those soft or those durable skills, which again help us to understand how to use the tools we gain from AI.
Such a big piece. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Dave, what do you see as the biggest untapped human potential?
Yeah, when we look at human potential, I think the key is there's so much focus right now on technological advancement and technical skills. And to, talk about what Scarlett just said in the durable skills, anybody who's leveraging those technical platforms, who's leveraging those technical skills, has to be able to apply those uniquely human things to that context to be able to make that output or that work meaningful, right? So problem solving, critical thinking, empathy, it matters. In fact, 78% of employers are saying that durable skills, those soft skills, are the new job security, and 63% of workers agree with that. There's a reality to the power, the unlock that we're facing is about bringing human technology, human potential, and technological skills together to create a new and different normal.
Scarlett, for organizations facing economic uncertainty, what strategies can they keep their workforce development as a priority rather than a budget cut?
Yeah, there's many that we can put in place. I think it really does start with building different ways in which we can upskill and reskill the talent. It may be as short as a day-long training and working alongside their learning and development teams to understand what those skill needs are and developing something that works for employees during their day. That also could mean that they begin to look at their own internal policies that are in place in upskilling and reskilling opportunities for their employees. Can they do longer form pathways that they can build for learners? Can they offer tuition benefits and tuition assistance for those learners as well, or those workers as well, so that they can, again, use their time and the benefits that they have with their employer to gain the skills that they're going to need as those jobs continue to change.
So where can our audience go and listeners go for more information and to see the full results of this study?
To find out more about the study and more about DeVry, visit us at devry.edu.
Well, Dave and Scarlett, thank you both so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both. Make sure to visit devry.edu for more information on this study. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.